Hello, everyone. This is going to be a really interesting topic today. SaaS it, build it, or fork it. Now, anyone who's got a bit of an IT background will know what I'm talking about, particularly with the fork it, but we'll discuss that today. I'm delighted to have Irina Macovei from Movacy with me, and she's our subject matter expert. And would you like to share what your role within Movacy is, Irina?
Thanks, Marek, and thanks for having me. So my role with Movacy is product strategy manager. I have an overview, and I also had an overview on the development of the entire ecosystem that Same Day has built with us.
For those of you who don't know, Same Day is one of the major players in Southeastern Europe in terms of Courier Express parcel. I'm also proud to say, because I had a little brick in that development, has the largest locker network in Romania, parcel locker, of course. But we're not going to talk about parcel lockers today. We're going to talk about software. And, the first question, Irina, I wanted to ask you is, we talked about SaaS it, build it, fork it. In terms of which of those options, and I'll try and be clever here and you tell me if I'm wrong. So SaaS, of course, is software as a service where you can effectively pay as you go. Build it is where somebody builds either internally or someone else builds for them the whole system.
Mm-hmm.
And fork it, this is the one that was new to me, where if I understand correctly, Irina, you basically take something that's already there and you build upon it, you improve upon it. Is that right?
Exactly. Yes, that's perfect.
So the question, Irina, is what type of method, in your opinion, suits what type of company?
I think the real question is not really build versus buy. It depends on what you want your team to focus on. If we take small players, it's about speed and low risks, right? While larger organizations need more control. And to be honest, they don't need to own every line of the code. For example, at Movacy, we do just that. You get a proven platform that's ready to go, but enough API flexibility that you can build upon it.
So just to maybe dig a bit deeper. So and this makes a lot of sense to me. If you're a relatively small player, I assume that you can and you need to accept a little bit more of pre-prepped stuff. So it will be maybe more of a SaaS model.
Yes.
Also, for cost reasons, it's likely to be a SaaS model. And because you're
Also,
young as a company, you can adapt a little bit, I guess, more than a big player with incumbent and legacy processes.
if you just begin in the logistic industry, it takes quite a lot of time to build the platforms and to get them in a point that they are mature and you don't have any problems with them. So actually, that costs a lot of money. So if you want a faster time to market, you should probably SaaS it.
And behind that SaaS, there's actually, you're buying a lot of knowledge and experience. So a company like Movacy is going to have systems that you've tested, you've built over years, and
Yeah.
somebody can effectively, Irina, correct me if I'm wrong, but fast track or sort of jump over all of that learning curve and not only get the benefits of that experience, but also avoid the pitfalls that came on the way.
True, that's exactly what's happening. If I remember around 8 years ago when I started with Movacy, it was quite a long way as we learned a lot. We had a lot of fails, a lot of optimizing, a lot of work and rework, because that's how you learn, especially in an industry that is so fast paced. And if you don't adapt quickly, you can't keep up with other competitors.
Absolutely. So effectively, it's a great thing for a smaller or newer business to fast track developments, to take out as much risk as possible, and actually not to have too much upfront cost, because it's obviously a lot cheaper than seeking to build everything yourself. Let's go on to the other extreme, which is basically build everything. And I understand in that model, you either, if you have a huge in-house tech team, which I had at Amazon, they tend to build most of it themselves. But you may have a scenario where you actually outsource for somebody else to build. Let's talk about that a bit. Which sort of scenarios can you see that working in, and which of the two options, build in-house or buy effectively the build? What would you say are the scenarios which fit best for different types of companies?
I think the trap of building internally is that the first version that you launch, the MVP, is the easy part. What comes after this is a lot of years of maintenance, security patches, maybe hardware updates, maybe optimizing a lot of the work that you've done at the beginning. Because when you just start in the industry, your volumes are not as high. But when you grow, then we are talking about different scaling issue. So the solution would be to have someone that can give you full control over the last mile flow, from careers to locker networks to customer experience, without actually making you manage the plumbing.
So what you're saying is if you have somebody that has that experience, you don't have to sort of get into the nitty gritty because, of course, any tech team that's part of a carrier is going to have some experience, but technology is moving forward so fast. If I understand correctly,
Yeah.
or the plumbing of technology is moving forward so fast that you can actually outsource that knowledge to people who have the latest thinking and are not just tied into your one, maybe more limited scope of vision. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's definitely fair. Carriers should actually focus entirely on the delivery performance, and they shouldn't think about or worry about tech stack being under pressure of the scaling.
So effectively, again, it's for bigger players. This is an option where you want to maybe offboard the risk, have somebody who's done this, proven that it works, and it gives you, shall we say, that extra, shall we say, security, both in terms of, I would imagine, delivery time, in terms of things being flexible to grow, and in terms of managing if anything goes wrong.
Exactly.
Okay, but now let's get to the fork it, because we've sussed it, we've built it. Let's talk about forking it. And, in which scenarios would you say that this makes sense, that you take something that's existing and then you effectively renovate or build upon it?
I actually don't think there is just one way to success. It actually depends on your needs and your business model and your growth ambitions. I think the way to go is to encourage your partners, or to recommend to careers that they should focus their energy on what actually differentiates their business, their brand, commercial rules, and customer experience.
But Irina, so for me to understand, the third scenario means I would imagine the sort of situations would be one where somebody has perhaps bought a business, and we've actually recently done quite a lot of due diligence work because there's lots happening in our space. You've bought a business that has a legacy system that is perhaps either okay or not even okay and needs improvement, but you don't want to rewrite everything from scratch. That could be one scenario. I guess the other scenario is where it's not a system that's been bought, but you feel in your company strategically you need to upgrade your software, and your internal or legacy external team that's been writing it actually, isn't able to deliver what is needed. So I would imagine those are the scenarios. I guess that it makes sense if the legacy system is either too difficult to upgrade, or you need to move faster than you're able to if you build from zero. Is that right? Or are there any other scenarios you'd see that works?
I think those are the two main scenarios. So if you look to grow quickly and your legacy system doesn't work, you should buy a core and then customize it as you would like. So build upon it. But if your core system works, and you have a lot of custom workflows, then in order to gain business advantage, you can add upon that in a modular way.
That makes a lot of sense. I have to ask you, because we're slowly running out of time, but I want to ask you one last thing, because, everybody talks about AI. Um, do you think AI is changing this equation at all? Because we've talked about the scenarios. I think they're pretty clear. But is AI changing this in any way? Has it made a difference in that decision process?
Yes, it's changing the entire industry and all the industries, I think. But if we talk about the logistics and especially software development, AI is basically moving us from doing to directing. It's less manual labor and more high level oversight, right? For example, if we talk about business analysis, the first part of when you're building a new software, It's actually moving from documentation to strategy. It's less spending on writing specs. AI can draft them so quickly. But then you should focus on whether the solution that you thought about actually solves the business problems. If we talk about coding, you're no longer writing every line of the code, but you're actually reviewing the code. AI handles the repetitive syntax while you focus on the architecture and the logic behind the business and what you should do.
So effectively, Irina, it doesn't change the discussion we have. It just makes parts of it easier, and it makes it probably less, shall we say, prone to error, because the machines can do a lot of the manual work. So AI, as I understand it, makes the process more efficient. Probably AI could even help you choose, in your case, which option is most appropriate. Are there any last thoughts you might have if you were going to share with the viewers on, in this scenario, what is your golden nugget that they should bear in mind?
I think with AI, everyone will be shipping better products faster by focusing on the outcome instead of the manual work. But I think the real competitive edge is having a team or a partner that has the deep business and industry knowledge. We can automate a lot of the things, the coding, the writing, the testing, but you can't automate the intuition and the expertise that people have in a certain matter, like logistics.
So, Irina, this has been really fascinating. Thank you very much. Here we have it, everybody. You cannot build intuition and expertise, something to be remembered. Looking forward to future chat we're going to have. Watch this space.
Thanks so much, Marek.